I literally just received back my measles immune status test because now you might call me a bit silly or crazy or old or whatever you want to call me. I'm flying to New York in a couple of weeks' time, and I thought, actually, how do I know if I'm immune? And it's not exactly like, 301 cases, right, that are reported. 330 million people in the United States. So it's not like it's rampant and everywhere. But the reality is, it worried me enough, being all those labels you want to give me, right? That I thought, let me go and see what my immune status is.
I'm doing that.
Right.
I have my blood test in a couple of weeks because, like, why not?
Right. Yeah, I just, exactly, what have you got to lose? At least I know that if I am susceptible and I've got a little grandson, I think about being close to him or not, et cetera, et cetera. So I did that. So I think, do we need all to take it? I don't think so at the minute. I don't think this is something that everybody needs to rush out and get. Majority of people, if you were vaccinated, especially post 1968, which is all of you guys, right? You would be immune to, that's one of those vaccines that works for a long, long time. So, and I think my result actually says I am immune, so I shouldn't worry about it. And that's where we need to be. The problem is we need 95% immunity around us to benefit from the herd immunity effect. Do you remember that? During the pandemic, we talked about that.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the problem, that in some states in the US is falling below that. In fact, I counted only 12 or 13 states. You can count that on the CDC website that are above the 95% vaccination level. So those who are below have a risk of outbreaks. And that's why we've been seeing that rate rising, and infection rates have been rising since 2017-18. There's always some, but we're dealing, unfortunately, with a pretty meaningful sized outbreak in Texas.
So deals. Last week, Roche and Zealand getting in on a deal. What's happening with our good friends at Roche?
Yeah. So look, we only got two things to talk about here: infectious diseases or obesity, right? And this deal was a licensing deal, not M&A. Okay. So basically, Roche went to this company and said, look, we're interested in your asset and we want to do a partnership. So Roche has taken on 50-50, up to 50-50, i.e. Zealand can invest in the commercialization up to a point of getting 50% of the profits, assuming they put in 50% of the costs, right? So, and what is it? Is it another Wegovy? Is it another Zepbound? No, it's not. It's a different mechanism. And it's supposed to work by giving you weight loss, but helping preserve some of the muscle mass, which is, I'm sure you've talked about this, or we've talked about this several times. You don't want to lose muscle and fat. You want to lose fat, less muscle. And that's what these amylin drugs potentially give you. And of course, Roche is no newcomer to this space, right? But interestingly, what it does pose is, in a future that we're going to be looking at, you and I and Alex together, I'm sure we'll be talking about this forever, is how do you decide what to give to what patient? Mm-hmm. That's what the world needs to figure out now.
Yeah. I don't know what the answer is to that. I'm sure the companies all have their own answer.
I'm coming back to you, Alex, to figure it out.
Okay. I believe you. I trust you. And apparently you'll be in the States next week, which is very exciting.
2 weeks time.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay. Well, we will see you then. When we take a look at in the U.S. and the level of NIH funding that is on the chopping block, what part of the industry do you think is most vulnerable to losing funding and then missing out on some research?
Yeah, but so Alex, if you think about NIH, it's mostly, majority of it, of course, is biological, right? National Institutes Health. So that's where I think the cuts are coming. But it's not just about cutting people. It's the uncertainty that it creates. It's been the cutting of overhead costs to universities. It is the fact that apparently there have been not based on what I've been looking at, but based on what I've heard, there have been no patent filings by the Institute in the past few weeks, which could be stop filing patents because it's expensive, or could be we don't want to give all our ideas away, or whatever. But they are the fount, or whatever the right phrase is now, sorry, of future drug development. And they get lots of revenue back from it. So it is worrying, and I don't like seeing what I'm seeing, up to 20% of the staff being cut. And we need a turn in this. We need to stop seeing this, and so that we don't feel like science is under attack.